not going to lie, man. I'm tired today.
You look tired. Isn't it awful? No, isn't it awful when people say that, though? You don't look tired. You look fresh as a young thing.
All right.
Why are you tired, Jez?
Or a daisy. I don't know, really. Life. Oh, it's tiring, isn't it, life?
Oh, in it. It can be in it. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. In it.
Yeah, I don't know. A bit of socialising at the weekend and possibly a late night too many. Here, I'll tell you what it is, Matt.
Hit me.
So, all right. So, I think it's sugar and a little bit of not enough sleep. I'm really sensitive to not enough sleep, and we probably should do an episode on sleep. I'd quite like to do that from my bed.
On location.
you could do it on your bed, and we could have pillow talk.
Oh,
oh, cute. And
sugar.
Sugar, yeah.
Too much?
So sleep and sugar, I'm really sensitive to. Oh, yeah, but not tons. It's just I don't really eat sugar. I don't add sugar to anything. If I do add sugar as a sweetener, I try to make it like honey or like a natural sugar. And also I try to eat low sugar. So I'll specifically see if there's sugar in it and if there's a less sugary alternative, or I just won't have it. I don't eat sweets. I don't eat biscuits. I don't eat, sugary stuff.
Yep.
And so socializing at the weekend, had quite a lot of sugar, let myself go. Such was my want. And
be honest, did you go on a Capri Sun bender?
You look like the man from Capri Sun today, dressed like that.
Do you not mean the man from Del Monte? He says yes.
Well, I'm not passing any judgment on your inability to say no or what you say yes to.
That was a lovely topical reference from the 80s.
Or a tropical reference. Hey, we started.
Okay, there we go. Right, happy with that. Next.
That's why I'm here. Oh dear. Anyway, what have you been up to?
Oh, what haven't I been up to? Anyway, how are you?
Says a man who says yes. Let your imagination run wild. That's what I've been up to.
What have I been up to? You know, this and that, bit of the other.
Mainly that.
Bit of fitness. Love a bit of fitness, me. Yeah, it's quite well documented. I kind of hate that question, if I'm honest.
Oh, all right.
There I said it.
I'm not really that bothered. It's like when you say to people, how old are you? And then sometimes if you just conversationally say it to a lady, I always think, oh, you're not supposed to ask a lady how old they are you? So I normally say, how old are you? Oh, sorry, that's rude. You're not supposed to ask a lady how old they are. How much do you weigh? I don't know where that's come from. Anyway, gosh, I think we're giving what's his name? What's that guy that does Ramble Chat? That comedian has a podcast.
Is it Ross Noble?
No, it's not Ross Noble. I quite like
not
Ross Noble.
Yes, same.
I can't remember. Anyway,
no.
He's got a beard.
Another informative segment.
Yeah, you said, gosh, this is going to be a difficult one to edit. Just everything pre 20 minutes. You reminded me this morning that, by the way, it's very early. Can we not do them this early?
Yes, we won't do them this early again. Listeners, it's 10 to 8. Oh, 10 to 8.
I had to get up at 6 this morning so that I was ready. It might have been 6:30. I can't remember. It was so the numbers were single digits.
Was that so you could depilidate? Is that the word yourself?
Depilidate?
No, definitely. Remove some hair.
Depilidate. Does that mean remove from the pillow?
Your date.
Yeah. I extractopilidated myself.
What's the word I'm thinking of?
What are you on about? I don't know. Describe what you mean. Don't just say random words that aren't the right word and then I expect you to know what you're talking about. Describe what you're wanting to say.
The process of removing hair. Depilation.
Why would I depilate?
There you go.
You mean shave?
I mean, sure. Or Veet.
Do you like the fact that I've got a podcast recording where I'll be fully clothed? I'll get up early so that I can tweezer my hair out from my body and make sure I've got no strays.
Well, you might be so hairy that the sound of the friction of your hairs rubbing together.
Your imagination needs to calm the heck down this morning. I'm pre-breakfast. You are alive. That imagination is alive. I woke up and I said to Mr. Jez, quickly get the sander, do my back. Anyway, you reminded me last week when we were talking about fear, which also PS, which do you know should be capital P, capital P, capital, it shouldn't. It should be capital P, capital S with no dots in the middle. That's the correct way to write PS.
Is it Latin? It feels like it must be Latin.
Yes, it is Latin, yes. But lots of people put P.S. which is wrong, or little p's and s's, and that's wrong as well. It's capital PS.
So does PPS not work?
I think that's a bit made up. I think you probably shouldn't do, because I did genuinely get a letter once that had PS. Let me get this right. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I had 4 of them. PS, PPS, PPPS, PPPS. And it wasn't a joke. It was a, oh. And you just think, oh, God, I mean, if there's that many afterthoughts, bloody edit the thing you've written. Do you know what I mean?
Not again.
Yes. And then another letter the next day. Oh, and by the way, yeah, I sort of felt that the whole fear episode could have been 4 times longer. It's such a big deal, isn't it? And I'm finding actually this series to be very interesting in as much that I wonder where we go from here for series 2 and 9. And I did wonder, I was sort of reflecting when we finished recording that maybe we should put it to our listener at the end of series 1, which are the topics they found most resonant and that maybe we explore in more detail in series 2 or something, because it just, the short episodes are so difficult to get everything across, aren't they?
Absolutely. I mean, a topic like fear is all encompassing, but actually revisiting the most resonating ones with an expert, for example, or with another opinion as well, will be really fun. And just give us that other dimension, other ways of other perspectives on whatever we're discussing.
Would be rather embarrassing to find out that we were wrong about everything we'd spoken.
No, you see, this is where precisely you went wrong. You did it again here, and by the end, you were so far off topic. You were talking about sheep. I mean, that does happen.
We do edit it, so. So anyway, what was the deal, Matt? You said you had a thing. You said I must talk about fear because we didn't do something last episode. Chastising for?
Chastising. Your Jessica chastised doesn't matter. Edit that out. It wasn't funny. We said, okay, well, let's be super vulnerable and talk about our personal fears. And then we didn't, because we got carried away, as is our want.
So, okay.
Yes.
So,
I'll go first.
Do you know what yours are? Do you carry them around with you?
Well, I have a tangible one that I can instantly, if someone says, what's your fear? I'll be like, spiders. But this is the funny thing, again, because I mentioned that on the fear episode, like, there has to be a cutoff point where a size suddenly is scary and a size below isn't. Yeah. But even a mid-sized one that if I see it from a distance in the house and can walk up to it, I'm fine. I can pick it up and put it outside. But if I catch it out of the corner of my eye, it can be that, boy, it could be anything.
Yes.
Which is so funny about fears like that. I think it goes back to that primal, oh my God, I'm in danger feeling.
Yes. That's interesting. I was in the shed last year cleaning it out, and I'm fine with mice. I think they're really cute. I used to have a pet mouse called Charlie. He was black and white. And I was cleaning this shed out, and I moved something, and there was a dead mouse. So I moved.
Was it Charlie?
No, I kept him. It was in a Tupperware. So I moved the thing, and I'm not kidding. I surprised myself. So I did this weird. It was the most strangest physiological response, like feeling, because it was like a double jump. I like double scared myself. So I saw the mouse, went ah like that, and screamed really, really high pitched loudly. And then sort of that startled me because I'd never made that noise before. It was like this completely instinctive, and I stood there going, "The hell was that noise? And where did that come from? And it's only a mouse. And what have you?" And I don't know what the, what was the thing that surprised me, that it could have been something else, like a big spider, or it could have been I don't know. It was. I've always sort of. There's always in the back of my mind thinking, what was that all about? So what if you named a spider? Would that make it less scary? If you sort of said, "Oh, that's Petunia," and make
No, they did that on the Really Wild show in the 80s, and I remember watching a tarantula on TV and being like, I think, what was it? It had a funny name like Barbara or something, and I was still on TV. That's no thanks.
And you were like, "Well, I'd still kill Barbara. I'd take a spade to the back of Barbara's head."
She'd never be seen again.
Is that it? So spiders is your fear?
But in terms of like tangible ones where you can go, "What's your fear?" Oh, that. But again, not really British ones, as long as I know where they are at all times. Yeah. Introducing my patented spider tracker, only $29.99.
Get it in the store. Well, mine's going to sound ridiculous then compared to yours, because mine's a bit. Well, fear is subjective, so it's no worse or better or whatever than yours, but. I have an innate fear of dying. I'm very scared, but it's more of loss, and it's not of me necessarily. It's of other people. Right. I have a real intrinsic fear of loss, and I suspect it stems from childhood. And yeah, I don't know. So I don't worry. But I'm not one of those people that would say, "Oh God, you're going on a plane, text me when you get there. Are you going to be okay?" All that kind of jazz. I'm not one of those people that would say, "Oh, you're not going on that road, are you?" Or "Don't go on the motorway." I'm not that person. But just the idea of, if there's a scene in a movie where something dies, it could be a stick insect, it could be anything, someone's got emotional attachment to it.
Right.
Or where someone, like if they break up even, and their relationship ends or something, I get really sort of upset about that. I get really fear of loss is a big fear of mine. I don't think I have any other fears, and you'd think you'd know, wouldn't you? Like when you were saying, if someone says what you're scared of, you instinctively go, "Oh well, that's spiders for me."
Yeah, blancmange.
I sort of feel I need another one that's not. When I think you're at a party, like if we were socially out, which of course never going to happen. But
ridiculous.
If we were, then someone said, "Oh, what are you scared of?" And you went, "Oh, spiders," and someone else went, "Oh, I don't know, my mother-in-law," and someone else went, something else, and then I went, "Death, scared of loss, intrinsic scared of loss."
That would kill the mood.
I know. I need another one, like pink pebbles.
Oh, stop it. Oh, no. Oh, you stop. Oh.
Yeah. So
what about something trendy?
Look, I don't think you can pick a fear, man. It's not like there's a list of fears where you go into like a fear store and say, "I need a new fear." Right. Okay. What sort of category? Are we talking trendy fears? I've got some morbid ones.
Have you got any with a hood?
Yeah. Matt,
maybe I'm best in the morning. Who knew?
Have you got any intact fears, or just the circumcised ones?
Oh my Christ! That was not where I was going.
Gonna get edited. This has turned into one of those episodes of Trixie and Katya. Do you ever watch those on YouTube?
Yes, I do.
What a laugh. Anyway, so I think we should do something on Instagram about fear, and also that sort of, maybe that ties into this week. I don't know. So if you want to share your fears, I think it'd be very interesting to see. I tell you what we should do. We should do a poll. You love a poll. Maybe
I'm not rising to that.
Do you have a fear or not? So we could kind of poll our listener to see how many of them got fears, how many they haven't, and maybe what the most common fear is, because we think we've got those, haven't we? Anyway.
Yes. Well, and that actually does dovetail, my favorite word, to what we're talking about today, values, because I think very much once you understand your values a bit more, maybe that actually could help with your fears, because it could maybe help you understand where they came from and why you still hold on to them. Or not. Let's find out.
Coming next. See, the values thing is, it's one of those things that I think there are a couple of things in life that I think are really interesting because they're important for human beings to understand. And for me, so from a behavioral perspective, I think there are lots of that are just absolutely obvious things that you should know and understand about yourself. But actually, very, very few people, unless they find themselves in a situation or position where they're forced to do it, i.e., therapy or emotional trauma or repair after rupture, that they don't ever explore that. So a case in point might be, for example, very rarely do we either write a list of or actively know what it is that makes us happy in life. We just sort of, we don't know those consciously. You have to, if I said, name me 20 things that make you happy, you'd have to really think about it. Whereas, core needs is another thing off the back of, I suppose, that, what are your core needs? I don't know. And that's really interesting because intrinsically, like, incredible priority for us to know what our core needs are and whether or not they're being met. Which in turn helps you to adapt or not adapt, or massively impacts your response to things as well. And the same thing with values. It's just one of those things I think, well, everybody needs to know where what your values are and where your values sit with certain things, because values, I think, are what help form our boundaries, right?
Yes.
When your boundaries are compromised, that's when we react in different ways or unpredictable ways, because we're not consciously aware of, this is my value about this, and it influences my boundary of this because this is acceptable for me and this is not. I'm comfortable with this, but not this. So the values thing, I suspect, in fact, I know there will be an awful lot of people listening who have never even considered what their values are, in a very academic sense like that, if you like. Yes,
and it doesn't need to be scary or dry, but and actually what you just said about boundaries and values can help explain people's emotions to them. So people might not know if they haven't done any work on their values, or even, like, work makes it sound tedious, and it absolutely doesn't have to be. But if you don't understand what's guiding you, or what's really important to you underneath it all, then you might be getting upset about things and not know why. But then you can retrofit it, where you, as we're going to help you later on in this episode with an exercise, help you determine and understand what are your values, what's important to you. Like, use it, and then you can use them as your North Star, as sailors used to do to guide them around the world. That can be what guides you forward, helps you make better decisions, helps you just live a happier life on your terms. And yes, set those boundaries, because they are so crucial. Without boundaries, and actually boundaries for you make other people happy because they know how to better act around you as well. So I'm all about the boundaries.
And maybe, there's an exercise, well, there are a number of exercises. You were saying we're going to explore one about values, but, boundaries is another one that perhaps we should look at, because I think helping people understand what your boundaries are, which can be as simple as what's acceptable to me and what's not acceptable to me in any given situation. So, how, and you could think about it really pathologically. So you can think about food. That's probably a good analogy to start with. So if someone's going to cook me dinner, how much salt is too much salt and how much salt is not enough? No, I like my food with no salt whatsoever, and then I can put my own in, or do I just not eat salt, or do I like it really salty? Well, that, again, those varying degrees of acceptance of things that feel right and good for you are the same relationally as well. How much time do I need on my own, even though I live with my partner? How much time do I need uninterrupted from work, so that I've got actually some, one of the things I was talking to a client with recently, because I don't coach many clients anymore, but I still do, and it's an insight really when you're not doing it all the time as much as I was, because you pick up on things that you think actually that's very normal to explore in the coaching field, but actually because you're not doing it all the time, it sort of stands out a little bit more, which I think is more valuable actually for me. And we were talking about how this person was getting very snappy at demands on their time. So somebody would send them an email and their initial response would be to sort of kick back at the fact that they were being pestered and they had loads of stuff to do and yet again another email. So their sort of secondary emotion was because they was a reaction to that demand on their time. But of course, that's because their primary emotion is one of not getting enough time for themselves. They don't have stuff to do that makes them happy or whatever, which maps onto that core need of exactly what we're talking about, a boundary that is, well, I need time for me. I want to read on my own, or I want to walk the dog, or I want to, I don't know, listen to music. And I'm not getting that because I'm allowing all these other things to happen and encroach on my time. So I think values are, probably an awful lot more important than we think they are, huh?
I think they are. And actually that example, and the one you mentioned about even living with someone, it doesn't have to be a partner, it could be a flatmate, is so true. And people who maybe call themselves people pleasers get into the habit of just saying yes and agreeing to whatever the other person wants to do, but actually then resenting whatever they're doing that they didn't really want to do. Cause it, which the other person doesn't know about because they haven't had boundaries set for them. And that's why both people communicating, and like in any relationship breakdown, it's communication and expectations expected versus met versus communicated, which is generally the sort of why people aren't working things out. And I think once people know that, like you just said, I am more of an introvert, or I need time to relax and read and be by myself. The other person doesn't mind that. They go off and do whatever they want. It's when it's not communicated that the person doesn't want to be bombarded or do stuff all the time. That's when the issues arise.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think being able to communicate your values is not a weakness. It's not saying
no, it's the opposite.
Exactly that. And it's not any reflection of your confidence either. It's not saying, I need this comfort blanket, or I need to hold this teddy bear. It's not a pacifier. It's a fundamental core human need that, it's a different way of thinking about it is what's your belief system, or where do you sit with xenophobia, with racism, with homophobia? What are your values as a human being? How do you express love? How do you, what sort of things do you value and what do you not value? If you were to walk around your home today, here's maybe an exercise people could do, is walk around your house. And if you were moving house, or if you were told that you've got to reduce everything, you're moving from where you are to a house that's half the size, or a flat that's half the size or something, what do you value so much that you would have to take, even if it meant that your new place was cluttered because it just wasn't big enough for the stuff that you want to take? And what stuff do you not value so much that you could let go of? There's a reason why we're surrounded by stuff. We'll probably like the stuff that's around us. Very few people dislike the stuff they've got because you don't have it. But some things you value intrinsically more than others.
Well, Jez, I want you to imagine you're at a party. Now, in case you're unclear, that's a gathering of people who like each other.
Right.
Maybe your first time.
As a guest, presumably.
Tapping at the window.
Pouring at the window like a kitten in a microwave. Oh, sorry.
Oh, delicious. And like that question about fear at the start, someone, like old people are talking and like, okay, Jez, what's your number one value?
That's a question for me.
Oh, yeah, so you weren't ready for that.
Kindness.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Sincerely, kindness. I think if we all worked better, if we all worked more at being better at being kind, and if there was more kindness in the world, then socially and literally, I think we would all get on a lot more. We'd all be we'd all be a little bit more understanding as well, because I think kindness leads to so many secondary, it softens so many things. And I find that an act of kindness is often very selfless, which is, and in turn makes other people feel good and feel better about themselves, and you in turn, through the act of reciprocity, feel good about yourself. And I think kindness is massively undervalued.
Lovely.
What's yours?
Oh, more cats in microwaves.
Okay. Yeah. Fine.
No, mine is inclusivity, making sure everyone has a seat at the table and feels welcomed. Whenever they want to, basically. I hate the thought, and I guess maybe that actually, now I say it, is maybe a fear of mine of not being included, which is why I work so hard to make sure everyone does feel part of conversation. And it could be a singular, like this fictional party we're talking about, making sure people don't feel like they're just standing by the buffet table and they haven't been included in the conversations.
Do you get a little bit of FOMO?
No, I get what's projected FOMO for other people.
Promo.
Homo? When I want to be at home, yes. Generally I'm okay with, I don't think it's missing out, because I'm really good at doing other stuff or entertaining myself.
Sure.
But I don't, you're right, I don't want other people to have FOMO.
So that's kindness, isn't it?
I mean, ultimately kindness, does underpin who I am as well.
Yeah. I
wanted to be a bit more specific in terms, because I that feeling of just want people to feel
together and
included.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that leads very beautifully on to Book of the Week, Matt.
Book of the Week? Sing the jingle. Sing the new jingle you wrote, Matt. What was that, Jez?
Yes, Matt. On behalf of all of our listeners, please do sing to us again this week.
Time for Book of the Week, my friend. Words on pages we read to the end. What will be Jez's? Probably a textbook. What will be Matt's? Let's take a look. You're welcome.
You've really got into this. Started off. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you really need to. Matt has lyrics printed
on a big post-it
cards. This is not just from the back of his mind, like it has been every other episode. Suddenly, it's taken on a whole lyricist turn. You do live in the same town as Tim Rice, don't you?
I do.
Or city, as you like to call it.
Oh, London.
Yes.
That's so unspecific. I mean, you do live in the same hemisphere as Tina Turner.
No, but you must know him. Don't you all know each other in London?
Yes. I always get the Tims confused, so I have to say Tim Robbins Rice Curry, and then I remember who the three Tims are.
As opposed to Peak.
Oh well, I mean he's the new Tim on the block.
Tim Robbins, who's that?
He is. Oh no. Oh, he is married. He was married to Susan Sarandon.
Who's Susan Sarandon?
Oh, get out!
Oh, I'm not very good with famous people. Who is she?
She was. Her biggest role was in Thelma and Louise with Gina Davis.
I've not seen that. Okay, fine. That's why I don't know. And who's the other one? Tim Curry. Oh no, Tim Curry.
Yes, from Legend and Clue.
Is Tim Curry dead?
If he is, you don't have to whisper. Okay. But I don't think so.
No,
Who? Tim Curry. Tim Curry, did you say?
Yeah. Do you know what's really annoying is I think he might be one of those people that on Twitter I think his Twitter is something like "Yes, me, no, I'm not dead," because he's like one of those. There's a few actors and celebrities that are always sort of bandied around that they're dead or not here anymore, and they pop up and go, "Nope, no, I am. I'm just not working as much as I was, but I'm not dead."
I can confirm he is alive, and he's 75.
Oh wow! Oh well, Tim Curry, if you're listening, congratulations. And I would love you as a guest, and I love his work. He's a great actor. And what I love about Tim Curry, great range, really good comedy actor, but my God, some serious stuff.
Yes, he does have the range.
And
I like the idea. Tim Rice. I like the idea that Tim Rice and Tim Curry are friends, because then they're Rice and Curry, and they're maybe a crime-solving duo. Who live in the Midlands. They should be.
Oh yeah, but you could, yes. And if they were best of friends, they'd be called Christ, wouldn't they? Cricey. Is Cricey coming? Yeah, they're both coming. Yeah. All right.
But they still solve crimes.
Do you want me to get rid of the boring one first, and then you can do your exciting?
I mean, it's probably a textbook.
It is not, but it's not fiction. It is, because we're talking about values. So, as you know, I only read sensible adult books, which is why I'm so colourful, intelligent, well-read, diverse, deep.
Tedious.
Yeah, all of those things. So I read a lot of biographies, and also, yes, I do read a lot of textbooks. So I thought I would pick somebody today who, for me, represented values. So the book of the week this week is called Robin, and it is by Dave Itzkoff. It's a Pam Macmillan book, and it is the definitive biography of Robin Williams, the actor. So I'm a massive fan of Robin Williams. Met him and technically worked with him once.
Did you?
Joyfully lovely person. Big.
I'm sorry. Can you tell us about that? Tell us about that briefly.
So it was it was at a birthday party of somebody relatively, extremely well known. And I had a little cabaret review show, and I was doing a bit of my cabaret, and Robin did a stand-up set of, it was supposed to be 20 minutes. It went on almost an hour. And we were all together in like a little green room holding space backstage, and we had lovely conversation.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, and actually most people sort of left him alone. I don't know whether that was because of the fact that he was, so famous and who he was, maybe they were intimidated or whatever, but there was a lot of famous people at this party. So I think it was a general kind of, it's another equally famous person or whatever. Obviously, clearly, hello, there were a lot of entirely not famous people there. I think I fell into the wives, girlfriend, and others, the category. Everyone just looked at me and assumed that I was, So the thing about Robin Williams, though, that's really interesting is that obviously he has a well-documented period where he was using drugs and a little bit addicted to substance abuse and to alcohol as well. And also, had throughout all of his life troubles with depression and mental health challenges. But of all of the people that have a legacy and all of the people that are very well known, it's not because of the dark stuff that we remember Robin, it's for his values of laughter and kindness and humanity, because he was such a great comic actor and was so well loved at just being a really lovely person. He wasn't arrogant, he wasn't grandiose, he was just Robin. And one of the stories that a lot of people aren't aware of is that Robin Williams had written into his contract of work. So he had a minimum salary. So yes, you can engage me, but it's going to be not less than this. And had a very specific set of criteria in his contract. And one of them was that in order for you to engage Robin, you had to employ, for the duration of the filming, local homeless people. So you had to give them a job as part of his contract. Otherwise, he wouldn't entertain working with them. So you had to go find some homeless people, pay them, and give them a job doing, I would imagine, unless they were skilled, it would have been menial tasks like being a runner or helping clear up or whatever. But that they got to work, they got purpose, they got value, got to spend time around people, and they got paid. And that, for me, sums up values, because the values that we live by, the things that we decide are right and just in the world, the things that we decide are wrong, and the things that we decide, perhaps more importantly, that are important and that should be done. help define who we are. They help define how we think. They help define how we behave. And of course, more importantly, they help define the consequences of our actions as well. So there are a number of people that stand out for me when we think about values, and Robin Williams is one of those. And this is, as Steve Martin says, the definitive biography of the genius of Robin Williams. If you're interested at all, it's a really good book. It's a thickie.
That's okay. That's amazing though, and that's so right. And love that using his might, his weight for good as well, in such a positive ripple effect way.
Sure.
Oh, that's so lovely. It
is lovely, isn't it? It just gives you what's nice is when you hear that, you feel that warmth that you often feel when you see him work. You know, like Mrs. Doubtfire, my go-to film for a rainy Sunday or if I'm feeling a bit crappy. And it gives you that warmth, it gives you that fuzz, as does most of his work, actually. Yeah.
Aww.
So, Matt, let's hear about a completely made up waste of time. So many beautiful things that happen for real in the world, but let's hear about something that someone's made up.
My BOTW is, which no one's calling it, is essentially
hashtag
Ottawa. I was going to make a joke about it being the same. Clearly, it's very different. What with it being The Handmaid's Tale by the wonderful Margaret Atwood.
Oh, wow. Tell me more about this, because I only found out recently that this is a book. I watched a clip of this from the TV show, I think on Gogglebox, and was blown away. And it sounded, and I had a friend of mine describe it to me who'd watched it, and I was like, jaw on the floor. Oh my gosh, this sounds dark and thrilling and amazing. And so I'm excited to hear whether the book is the same.
The book is a trillion times better. The TV show is fine. The first series is good. The second series goes off, and I haven't watched anymore because you don't need to, because the book gave me, and the sequel, The Testaments, gave me everything. Wow. The reason this is about values is this is about values as a society, and it's terrifying how real this feels. This was written in 1996, and in a nutshell, a far-right faction takes over most of America, called Gilead. Korea recalls it Gilead, strips away women's rights. Women aren't allowed to work, own money, anything. And then it gets boiled down even further and further. Like, women are separated by different style. I can't think of the word. We're just separate, different categories. Right. And handmaids of the title are kept by a man and woman for providing. Oh, that's it. Sorry, there's been chemical warfare or whatever, and fertility rates of women has plummeted, and men, I guess, have plummeted in America. So women who can still have babies, who are become handmaids, are prized and kept by rich men and women just for the purposes of the man of the house to do the sex with, to try and create an heir.
Oh my gosh! So they're like a baby factory.
Yeah, and it's so. It's just terrifying because it's so real, and so hold on, are we on the precipice of falling into this? And this is the thing about fascism and the rise of the far right. People think it's going to come goose stepping into your square like we see Nazi footage of, but it isn't. It's the insidiousness of of our values and boundaries being nudged, and we go, oh okay, we'll accept that, accept that, and then all of a sudden you've got the worst case scenario, and it has crept up on you, as opposed to it hasn't flown in and dropped bombs. It's like, oh, suddenly my neighbor is whatever, for example. Not my neighbors. They're lovely if they're listening to this. Definitely not Nazis. And it's brilliantly written from different perspectives throughout, and just it's brutal. It's a hard read in terms of what happens to some of the people, and you go, well, why would a woman ever be persuaded to do that to another woman? Like, some of the women in charge are really awful torturers. But it's not. It's that creeping pervasiveness again that just, well, if I accept this, maybe I'll accept that, and all of a sudden she's chopping off someone's hand. Like, wow. It's honestly, Jez, I know you don't like the fictions. This is this is so brilliant.
It sounds good.
It's brilliant.
I think I would prefer, because I don't like, one of my boundaries is that I don't like to watch horror. I don't like gore, and actually it stems from, I don't like people being nasty to other people. I find that very difficult to watch, even though I know it's fictional. So I think I would probably find reading about it easier, rather than having to watch it. Gosh, amazing.
Yes, published by
it's very
Vintage.
Famous, isn't it? Vintage,
yes,
you say? Right.
Yes, Vintage. And then the sequel, which came out last year or the year before, won the Booker. Yeah, the Booker.
Wow.
A joint win with actually another book I'm intending to read called Girl, Woman, Other, but still first co-winner, and also very good. Well,
look at that, A Handmaid's Tale. Remind me who it's by?
Oh, Margaret Atwood. Who's written lots of amazing things as well.
I bet she's doing all right now.
That's why she's just in it for the money, for the filthy lucre. She's down Croydon Market flogging her books. Give me your readies. That's how she speaks. No, she's American. She's not a Cockney.
Oh dear. She probably lives in the Hamptons now.
You said that quite dismissively.
Well, I'm sure there are nice people that live in the Hamptons. I'm just yet to meet one. What do we? That's probably half of my VIP clientele just gone. It won't work with me anymore. So there we go.
No more summering for you in Cape Cod.
Exactly. Yes. Those yachts are all gone now. So what do you value most at home, dear listener, and how do you find out? Matt, perhaps you could help us with this.
Well, Jez, funny you should ask. So an exercise that I have done and I was taught and really helped me, and you can do this for different portions of your life. So I did it for my personal life and also for help me understand the business that I run, Fit to Confident You. And actually, of course, there's a big crossover, but sometimes there were separate things. So this is about helping you understand not just your values, but which values do you value the most? So I'm going to help you create your hierarchy.
Prioritizing your values.
There you go. Hierarchy of values. And a lowerarchy of values. No one ever talks about that. Sorry.
That might be a reason why.
I came up with, there's nutrition. What about old trition? Anyway, we'll park that for now. So what I'd like you to do is, don't do this on your phone or laptop or any distractions. Grab a pen and paper or pencil or scribe or parchment or crayon and wax, I don't know, or blood, and sit down and clear your head and just start writing start thinking about what's important to you and just write down whatever comes out. So that could be completely abstract things like good food, my sisters, I should say, if they're both listening. That was an example. I realized I should probably make it personalized to me. Exercise, good fortune, TV, like anything that you enjoy and is important to you, just write it down as a cloud and just scribble for 10 minutes or however long until you can't scribble anymore. And then leave it and come back to it maybe the next day and see if anything else pops out. Just don't worry about ordering it yet. Just scribble, and then leave it, and then come back to it the next day. Or you can fast forward it if you want, but then come back to it again, and then start putting them in order. Like, what is genuinely of these things the most important? And like I said, some can be tangible, some can be kindness or anything like that. And you might know the number one thing, but then under that, you might have different things. And then if there are 2 or 3 that you can't separate, imagine not having one of them, and the one you really can't imagine having obviously goes above the other one. I don't want any joint winners in this case. I want a list of however many values in a hierarchy. How do you feel about them apples?
Well, I mean, how's that for the price of fish? I like that. I think that works really well. So what do you do with it then? So and actually, interestingly, the things that are most important to you aren't sort of explicitly your values, are they? These are the things that are most important to you in life broadly, but from that you determine your values. Absolutely. So what is that about? So if you've written let me give you an example. So I've written good tea, so that's important to me. I don't like rubbish tea. I like a really good hot cup of tea, very specific. But what's that? That's not necessarily a value in life, is it? But what is it about? There's a value that forms the fact that what's important to me is good tea.
I guess that would be to do with respecting what you put in your body and respecting what you a value is enjoying an element of food, nutrition, and prioritizing that. So whenever possible, you have that because you know it will light you up and lift you up, and you'll enjoy that moment, and you deserve to enjoy that moment.
And it's about core needs, right? It's about understanding that there are things that we have to have, that we need in our life, that are really important, and core needs are massively undervalued and perhaps ignored by a lot of people, or unknown by many people as well.
Another one, I believe, don't quite like a bit of time in the garden, so you might have put gardening down. And then the value, there you go, value connected with that would be that. So that's actually you having you time more than just garden. Yes, but equally I'm sure you love the process of getting your hands dirty and growing stuff and seeing what comes out. But it's that, if you dial it back, this is how maybe almost meditative time for you.
Exactly that. I also put sex.
Great.
Moving on. Now, Matt, I'd just like to say that, because we're sort of rapidly at the end of this week's show, aren't we? Already. It's not fair, Matt. The shirt. I just want to pick up on this.
Oh, my shirt?
Yes, my little sunflower.
Yes.
I'd like you to not wear that next week. Bear with me. I think you should show off some more of our lovely merch, because we have new merch that has just landed. We have got exciting new merch, including Touch of the Bear t-shirts and your favorite phrase, beauty fades. Dumb is forever.
Dumb is forever. I was going to say Jez is forever.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. There'll be a new special edition one coming out. And also a really cool Proud to be Human, a limited edition t-shirt as well, with the
love that
human rainbow effect on it. So I'd like you to wear that next week, if that's okay.
I'm on it. It'll be on me, actually.
Yes, okay. And I too will wear some as well. So I will make sure I'm writing a little note there to remind me, because sometimes I get dressed in the morning. You're not the one I'm thinking of. So
good.
That will remind me that I should probably wear something more appropriate.
Fab.
Matt, if people want to join us and they want to, hear more, and as we career through these 23 episodes, utter nonsense, what do they need to do, and where can they find us?
Well, we're all up in your internets on the Instagrams and the Twitters at That Human Podcast. Give us a follow. Lovely, funny clips to give you a taster of what's happened and what's to come. We'll give you a heads up on the themes to come as well. There's the link to the playlist, which I forgot to mention last week. So every week, there's a 5-song playlist. So it's the same playlist and 5 new songs for that theme added to it. Ponder Spotify.
I cannot wait to hear this week's playlist based on values.
Oh, well, you hold on to your hat.
I'm withholding my horses. I cannot wait.
Amazing. But yes, get in touch. Let us know anything you want us to explore. We've got the next few episodes planned out, but we're always open to listening to what you think would help you most as well as a human.
Man. And don't forget, of course, to subscribe as well, because every week, this is a weekly podcast. So you will no doubt forget as you get whipped up into the storm of life and forget. And then the next thing you know, you've got to listen to 5 hours of us to catch up. And well,
what a treat.
What a treat. Prescribed, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. And this is going to take us to the end of the year, amazingly.
It is.
Wow.
I can't wait for the Christmas special.
I can't wait for 2022.
With our special guest, Stephen Fry. I cannot wait.
Hey, we've got 6 months to make it happen.
Right, I know.
Ask the universe.
Oh, Matt.
Amazing.
I would love to talk to you more, but frankly, my eyes cannot take that shirt for much more. So I could go and find a dark room to lay down in and rest them. And I hope everybody else that meets you today enjoys your cheerful sunniness.
Thank you.
If not from your shirt, from your face.
Back at you.
Say goodbye, Matt.
Goodbye, Matt. Thank you guys for listening. We will speak to you and interact with you very, very soon.